9:02, we will call the Sawyer County Administration Committee meeting to order for Thursday, June 9th. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Reed Schumann,
Here.
John Buckles,
Here.
Dale Schrader, Tom Duffy, Tom Kinsley.
Thank you. Let the record indicate we have a quorum, a full board. Thank you all. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Certification of compliance with open meetings law, Madam Clerk.
This meeting has been noticed to the public and this meeting as required by section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Okay, meeting agenda. I'd like to bring everyone's attention to number 10. In finance, a motion was made to put a moratorium, or no, not a moratorium, but to set aside the remaining ARPA funds for the current courthouse construction project. So I guess I would like to remove number 10 from the agenda. Is everyone okay with that?
I haven't pulled it up yet here.
Okay. And if we're good with that, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda with that, deleting number 10. Motion by Mr. Kinsley, second by Mr. Duffy. In discussion, have you found it yet, Mr. Kinsley? No, Mr. Buckles.
No,
Okay, I'll let you look.
I mean, I looked at it earlier, but that's the one where it goes through the Draper.
Direct them right at- Tom, contact them and tell them what has happened. I don't want them to think their request was.
Oh, right. And you'll reach out to Town Draper, correctly? Okay, if there's no further discussion, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, public comment. Is there anyone here? Yes, ma'am. Please come up, state your name and address. You have 3 minutes.
Linda Zilmer, 902 Holly Hill Lane, Birch, Wisconsin, Edgewater property owner. Especially in the admin committee, I want to raise some concerns that have been evident as this week's committee has played out. In the Land Water Forestry Committee, there was discussion amongst committee members about new source, and although they had heard the presentation, they didn't have concerns, and they, as a committee, recommended that the administrator move forward with developing a contract. Now, at Finance Committee, you just had a lengthy discussion about things that committee wanted done before moving forward and the answers they wanted. So I really think that this issue about having different committees with different perspectives suggests that maybe the whole matter should go before the full county board, to have the full county board provide direction on the next steps, especially since this is of not immediate concern. The other concern I have right now too is that the action that was just taken in finance regarding the ARPA funds was not noticed as action. It was to, discuss a process in ARPA funds, not to take an decision to allocate it. And then was a matter that was supposed to be heard today that I think probably should have been heard, because a decision was made at a committee level, which I believe if that recommendation would go to the full county board, you might get different perspectives than the members of finance committee. I don't know that your full county board is going to say, yes, ARPA funds should just be reserved at this point for the building. So I just see confusion. I see also a lack of history, even with the wage proposal, which was approved by the finance committee without being seen. There was a wage study done, and I think the county, for morale purposes, should be very intentional about how any wage increases or retention pay is done, and not just do partial allocations here or there until the full county board sees what the wage salary situation is. So I'm a little concerned how things are just moving without being intentional. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone online? Huh? No hands, okay. All right, number 7, approval of our meeting minutes, May 12, 2022. Any additions, deletions?
So move, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Motion by Mr. Buckles, second by Mr. Duffy, to approve our meeting minutes of May 12, 2022 as presented. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 8, Veteran Service Report. Gary's not here, but he provided us a report. Any questions, comments? Andy, do you have anything to add to this report?
I do not.
No? Okay. Mr. Slater? All right, we'll be moving on then to number 9, Information Technology Department Report. Mike?
Morning. I've submitted a report in front of you. The only thing I'd just like to mention that kind of came up recently is the radio project for the sheriff's department. We found a way to piggyback our own radios up there that can help out the highway shop and airport for their internet, which has been a long-standing problem. With very minimal cost, just a few $100s worth of equipment, so we're going to be proceeding with that. Otherwise, we've been scrambling to help keep the networks up due to construction changes. If there's any other questions, that's it.
Chairman,
Yes,
I'd
sir.
also like to point out, Mike does a wonderful job helping with a building project because he's very involved in that. And he takes on a lot of that area. We thank you for all the information he's provided. And we'll continue to do.
I agree. And Mike, kudos to you and our maintenance department. I think you're the reason the contingency fund is increasing and not depleting. So we appreciate all that you're doing for us. Good point, Mr. Kinsley. Anything else? All right. Thank you, Mike, for all you do. Okay, number 11,
Well, why don't you just, yeah. Go ahead.
Human Resources Report. Rose,
Good morning.
good morning.
I don't see the report up there.
I don't remember getting one.
I emailed. Well, here's my report. Should I go get copies?
Well, she can.
It's just same as every month. We are interviewing, we interviewed for the staff accountant position. And we're gonna interview next week for the land survey GIS CAD position, which has been open for quite a while. They've got a few applicants for that. An interview for our limited term scanning position, which is gonna help zoning out, scanning in like sanitation permits and that type of stuff. And then we're still recruiting for EMS, driver operators out at the highway, part-time adult protective service specialist, jail dispatch and deputies, mental health. Those have been open for quite a long time. And yeah, then just your day-to-day stuff.
Mr. Chair, I know on the sheriff's department and EMS from the public safety part of it is the sheriff's department, they get people shadowing and then they come down to it that they don't want that job. That's not for them. And so they're having a hard time filling these positions. And then like was talked about with EMS is the wages. So that's why these are get hard to fill.
So Rose, these positions that have been vacant for so long, were they part of your discussion, you and Andy's, on this resolution that is coming to the full county board regarding designating funds for
Some of them
retention
are.
and wage adjustments?
Some of them are, yes. But like, a mental health therapist, it's just difficult. There just aren't people around here.
Sure.
And even, I don't even know why, but we can't hire a part-time veteran van driver. We just don't get any applications. But we're not alone in not getting any applications. I mean, you guys know that.
Yes.
But it is, taxing, you know, because you have to have other people step up and
Sure.
fill in.
I think it's a bigger conversation that ends up happening too, because the positions Rose and I have discussed that are part of the resolution, part of them are vacant, part of them are retaining the people that we think we could lose very easily within the local community. And those are generally people that live here already, so we want to keep them. For some of the positions that we have open, not always going to have those people locally. To recruit them in is very hard, just because when you look at the compensation they're going to be getting versus a commute they're either going to have or moving here, it's the economics that don't always work out, and it's getting harder. And I want to highlight that just from the standpoint of housing and supporting the housing authority. When I talked about ARPA funds, the last meeting, there are a fair number of counties that are getting involved in housing projects with local municipalities, Department of Economic Development, just because that's the barrier right now that's been most prominently identified as an impediment to hiring people. You don't have places for them to live, or I should say, if you don't have affordable places for them to live, you're not going to be able to get them to move into the community.
Mr. Slater. You kind of nodded like you wanted to say something, but I have a question for Rose. The jail positions, how many of those are union and like, is a jailer going to come to us later this year regarding pay increase?
So the actual jailers are all what we call civilian. They're not sworn, they used to be many,
Okay.
many years ago.
Okay.
So they're not sworn law enforcement officers. But the court security or the court, like the Huber officer, court security, and there's another one, there's 3. They are supervised by our jail administrator, but they are sworn law enforcement and they are part of the union
As deputies, obviously.
as deputies.
Okay.
But they work, you know, in the
Yeah.
jail and in the court.
So the jailers aren't part of the.
No.
We're short on jailers.
Yes. And dispatchers.
and dispatchers.
Yes. And EMS. And EMS.
EMS.
And it's not gonna be any better than. what,
180.
988.
9.
The new
The
hotline.
mental health hotline.
Coming in July, right, Dale? They said,
Yeah.
I think. So are we still transporting jail prisoners out of county because we don't have the staff?
Yes,
Not because we're full?
correct. They have to have 4 jailers on in order to double bunk is what they call it,
Oh, yeah.
but we don't have the staff. So they're housing out so that we can staff with the number of people we have.
What are we paying today for orders?
I think it's 45, is it?
I believe it's 45.
Right.
What are we paying the jailers?
The starting rate is 20-30 an hour.
And Rose, letter A, we took care of in finance, correct?
Yes,
Letter B then, exit interview update.
yeah, we continue to have exit interviews. In fact, I had 2 this week. One person is going to a neighboring county for significantly more money, and the other one is retiring. And, you know, they provide information to me, and, you know, sometimes they don't want what they tell us to be repeated back to, say, their supervisor or whatever, because, you know, they want us to know if there's an issue or a concern, but they don't want to have, you know, they don't want to irritate their supervisor.
Yes, Mr. Kinsey.
The example, I don't know who's retired and I don't need to know, but if that person had a higher wage, they could stay longer. Eventually.
In this particular case, I mean, I can't really speak for her, but I don't think that was it. There were other factors in her decision to retire.
Do you think that's some of the factors that have gone by or already exited?
Wages, definitely. Definitely.
So this is one way to correct some of that potentially.
Glad we're addressing it. Andy?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Rose and I have kind of gone through the exit interview and looked for any. Yeah, patterns, thank you, very good. Really didn't find any consistent patterns, but I think in addition to the exit interview, some of the feedback I think Rose has gotten, I think we'll head down the road of is just engaging with current employees as well to find out more about their, I don't want to say happiness, but getting more input from them on some of the things we do here and engaging them in being an employee of the county and helping us develop better, not some things outside of compensation and benefits that we can work with them on to retain them as employees.
Great.
I was going to ask to have it put on there and they both have communicated with me too. What do you want to bring out? There's a lot of delicate stuff in there, but
Jay.
big thing is wages.
Sure. Rose, have any employees come to you with any concerns regarding the construction and them not being able to do their job or interfering with their job?
The finance managers.
No, the biggest,
Let's go into county.
um,
Yeah, because
I guess complaint we've had is
We got
the parking. Some employees were very upset that we had to shut down a lot of the parking around the courthouse.
Got it.
But I know. But I personally have not heard of anybody saying are you saying because of like the noise or something, or?
Yeah, didn't we hear the judge asked them to stop for a minute during a court proceeding because
Oh,
they
I
couldn't
was
hear real
unaware of
well?
that.
Yep.
Right, Andy,
Just-
didn't we mention?
one time, yeah.
Just so we're aware that that might come up, you know,
Mhm.
depending on where they go with it. All right, anything else for Rose?
Thank you for all you do.
Appreciate it. All right, number 12, county administrators report. Mr. Andy?
Yes, I'll just run through a report quickly and then we can go down to the board policy. So Muni Code has been slow going, actually. We had some communication with Muni Code in the last couple of days. We wanted to get a current copy of where the code was at and just finally got that. So we'll be reviewing it and making sure everything is in there that we had anticipated. And part of this relates to the Tom retiring and my stepping in, and then also the attorney switched about the same time that was working on, or the attorney that was working on it left the firm. And so we're switching over to the attorneys, but I'm hoping to get this back to the board in July and finalize it. At least that'll set one point in time where the code is where we want it to be. I already know we have discussions regarding the board policies that I think maybe you want to consider putting it as an ordinance. There's discussion on some zoning ordinance changes, but I don't want to wait for those. I want to get something adopted, and this is our code and post it online. We can move ahead from there. Corp Council, continue to manage, work with them. We have things going in a number of different areas, quite a bit related to zoning ordinance and decisions and that type of thing. Also, we brought them in. Public Health is working on human health hazard, and they believe this is one of a few that they're going to be addressing in terms of how to handle that limiting access to a private property and placarding a building, that type of thing. And also the airport lease updates seem to kind of the areas we have Corp Council working in right now. We'll come back to board policies and procedures. We've discussed the compensation schedule and vacancies that Rose and I are addressing. We're going to do a couple just additional things in terms of recruitment and getting the word out there about open positions. Like Mr. Buckholz mentioned, I like that the jail does some shadowing with people to give them, I think that's a good and a bad thing when they find out they don't like it, which ultimately is good rather than us investing time into onboarding and training. They can come in and see the job. Somehow I don't think it's even a wage issue. People we've lost and the people that haven't have decided it's just not for them. It's not
not
decided
for them.
wage. It's environment or it's a type of job more so than anything. So we'll continue to work on that. Construction, been involved with the staff meetings. Again, I want to reiterate Mike and IT and Alex and then Tim and his crew really have been there for us here, getting us through some of the hurdles to get construction moving. And I know with Mike, there was emails zipping around a few weeks ago, Lumen and Charter and Nervado getting all of our fiber relocated. Keeping track of all that was great. Just, yeah, some grumbles about parking. Hopefully we've moved beyond that. And then everything at this point, I think I said last night that somebody asked if the project is on schedule, and it's on schedule from where we started from delayed. It was delayed because of seasons and just getting things going. So we're on schedule going forward now. So try to keep it that way. It's been actually pretty good weather for them to get some work done. Broadband, I took this to the Economic Development Committee and asked them to appoint me, designate me as the broadband point of contact in our county ordinances. When the county adopted the Broadband Forward platform, there was supposed to be a point of contact. I don't think we had one consistently. So they appointed me that. I think Mr. Duffy asked me this morning if that's something that needed to go to the full board for approval. I don't know that answer, but that'd be fine. Just wanted to get us cleaned up a little bit. And there's really, when a person or company comes in to do a broadband project, outside of some right-of-way issues, there's nothing the county needs to say okay to. But if there's gonna be more rounds of broadband funding, even if we're not using ARPA funds, we can still do things to support those projects. So I just wanted to get out in front of that because there will be more broadband dollars out there for these companies to go after. Opioid settlement, I explained that last meeting regarding the securitization, so I won't go into the details there, but that'll be an option for the county in the coming months, is to essentially sell their settlement payments and take a lump sum amount up front and then a smaller amount over the period of years. I think we've covered ARPA and the building project already, so we won't reiterate those. There's one thing that Rose didn't mention in the HR area, so we did have our sit down with the health insurance consultant / broker to get to start the process a little earlier for health insurance and our look at last year's numbers in the first 3 years of this year. This is a definite way to jinx it by bringing it up, but we're sitting pretty good on utilization and cost at this point. So they're optimistic that we'll get some good numbers and potentially bringing in some other alternatives for us to consider because we're in a better spot with our utilization by employees. Covers that.
Mr. Duffy, with economic development, you could add that to the county board agenda,
If we have to do that,
that you appointed Andy as our broadband contact.
Mhm.
How's the rest of the team feel about that? Yeah. That happened at Sawyer County LCO economic development meeting or your economic development meeting?
County.
County, okay, yeah, let's bring it up.
Does it need to go for a vote on that agenda? Or just that it happened?
I looked in the ordinance, it just says that the county will have a single point of contact.
How about a recommendation that will action item?
Okay.
Full board. During economic developments. Okay. Any other questions? Yep, for Andy, before we get to policy procedures? Oh, okay, Andy, let's go.
In the packet, I included a draft of the updated policy and procedures manual for the Board of Supervisors. This is started with some feedback we received from council when they reviewed the board election for chair and vice chair. Some things were turned up that our policy is not consistent with state statute. And so this is just a draft for today for you to take a look at. I took some other input, but I'll just see if I can. All the changes that are updates are highlighted within the document. So under meetings and quorums, just clarifying that it's a majority of board members who are entitled to a seat, so to constitute a quorum. So it's then we get down to it's actually voting to the organization meeting. It's a majority of the members present, not a majority of those who are eligible for a seat. Would be consistent with statute, so we change that in Rule 3, number 4. Still the same though, if no majority is reached, balloting continues until majority is reached. Again, under Rule 4 for elections, under number 3, it's a person receiving a majority of the vote of the members present. Some of these also were observations by either Lynn or I as to whether we're following or, so some of these are notes, some are changes, and they're highlighted in the margins as to what they are.
So you added Pledge of Allegiance, right, to other meetings?
Yep, well, I think it was in there actually.
Oh,
Just
was
drawing
it?
attention to
And
the
then
fact.
then I just added it to.
Yeah.
Our templates.
I think there's a lot in these documents, so sometimes unless you review them before every meeting. So I think Lynn has observed some things that she wanted to point out, just to make sure if you wanted to continue with them or change them, if you're not always following them. Just as an example, under Rule 7, voting procedure, number 7, each board member will be allotted 2 opportunities to speak on action being discussed by the board. I don't know that we track that during the meeting.
Right.
Or why
We tried
that's,
to.
yeah, I don't want to make changes. These are the board
No,
policies.
no,
So
it is true.
No.
And once someone spoke, you want to give everyone an opportunity to speak before they speak again. We gotta- could do a better job with that. I could, or the chairpersons. And then this number 5 too. No vote should be taken on a resolution or amendment to a resolution until it's been written out full and read it back to the board.
I think some of these things are highlighted. Again, this is, I think there's not a real rush to get this done, but we want to let it linger. Gives you an opportunity though to see what's in here and make any changes and bring this back to the next meeting.
Okay, what about public comment? I know we want.
Public comment, yep, coming down to that. Let's see here.
Is it true that you're not mandated to have public comment? Is that true?
That is true.
Yes.
There's no
I've
requirement
heard that.
to have public comment.
Exactly.
Okay, so what are you proposing then for our public comment?
I'm coming down to here. Just let me go back up to it. It's under rule.
Rule 8.
Page, it's page 24 of the packet, page 12 of the policy manual. Yeah, like Mr. Schuman said, there is no statutory or open meetings requirement to have public comment. It is generally advised. I would just make that advisement to you. The way your policy read currently is that I think kind of messed up, showing the golden. Was that members of the public wishing to speak on an item not on the agenda would do it during the public comment section. And then otherwise they would comment when that item came up. The changing this language, what I have in here is just members of the public will be given the opportunity to address the board during the public comment portion of the meeting. Did not specify
No, that's what I support.
what
I can
what
say
topic.
that.
The rest of it stays the same. It's still 3
Say that
minutes.
again, Andy.
Yeah, say that again. That's very important.
Members of the public will be given the opportunity to address the board during the public comment portion of the meeting, period. Doesn't matter the topic or on the agenda or not on the agenda.
So we're still gonna give the public 3 minutes on the agenda, right, at the beginning of the meeting, to speak on anything, on or off the agenda at that time. And they will have to fill out a form, right, to be recognized? Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
Now, what about during a public hearing at zoning?
That's a public hearing.
That's different,
Yeah, that falls in.
Those are different, yeah.
different, okay.
Now, this is what I've edited to say. Again, this is up to the board to decide how they want to handle it. It doesn't, this policy in here, nowhere in here does it allow or prohibit the chair or board member recognizing a member of the public at other points during the meeting.
Mr. Hensley.
I think it's important that when we have a county board meeting once a month, that anybody that has any kind of topic to bring to the county board, they should be allowed to do that. That's important to me because only meeting once a month, it's their only chance that they can speak to the whole board. If they feel it's something important to their taxpayers, they should be able to tell us what's on their mind.
I agree.
This rule allows it.
At one time in the meeting. And then we move forward. Except of course at zoning when they have public hearings.
That's difficult.
I like that, Mr. Duffy.
I agree.
So we would adopt. Or we make a motion to move this onto the full county board as presented with these edits. Right, and the county board then we decide.
The county board will have to adopt
And it's
this.
a 2/3 vote, correct?
I believe
These
so. yeah,
rules may
change
be amended.
policies. Yep.
By the board by a 2/3 vote of those members voting.
Yeah, I believe it's a 2/3 vote to approve updates to the policy, because it's a 2/3 vote to suspend the rules.
Oh,
But this would, we wouldn't put this on the county board until next month.
Right.
Because we'll bring it back to this committee one more time.
I'm okay with that.
And in part, I want to point out down the agenda a little ways further, or down the policy, when you get into. So what section is this? It's under part 1, standing and ad hoc committees of the board. It outlines that there's standing committees and the rules they operate under, and it identifies the committees. Currently, we have,
What page?
I'm on page 29 of the document. It lists the standing committees, the AB,
Oh, yeah.
all of them there. Well, currently, let's see here, public safety,
And there's another one too.
yeah, it lists all the committees, but only public safety, land, water, forest, economic development, ag, and the finance committee have any definition with them of what their roles and responsibilities are. So I think we should, to be consistent, make sure we have something for all of the committees. So I don't know if you want to task I could certainly fill it in, but I think it's more important that the board.
Would you make that suggestion of how to fill it in and put it on that committee?
Right, right, because this is a draft and we'll bring it
Yeah.
back here. Yeah, you can make us suggestions.
May I ask a question? Since some of these notes are mine, we probably have to have this group provide input back on some of the decisions. For example, on page 19. During appointment of committee members, you can see that on the composition of land, water, 2 of the members of the committee of jurisdiction. They have to cross over to other committees. And I think that happened in one other place.
You have to have a so-called person involved in agriculture.
And that didn't, so we've got some appointments that
Yeah.
don't quite match up in 2 different
But
places.
that's tough to do. I mean, is that a state statute?
For if what you're
For
asking
the
about,
composition of the
Couple of them are.
ag and extension, education, and the economic development. Is that what you're saying, Lynn?
Yeah, isn't that 92.06?
what page you on?
19 of the packet.
Okay,
And a representative of the Sawyer County Farm Service Agency.
I believe that one is.
Well, we do have a representative, right?
Yep, you do.
We have Kevin,
But the statement of 2 members
but
have to
Brian,
belong to ag and extension and economic development.
so we need another one, don't we, to represent both committees, but Brian is the only one on both committees, so.
And I'm asking, is that portion of state statute?
That one is a statute, the Farm Service Agency, having somebody on from the Committee of Jurisdiction for Agriculture and Extension, I believe is your own role.
Oh,
So can we remove that? and
Yeah.
That Brian, that one is okay to be on?
how about one member has to be on both? That would clear that, up, right?
How would, Andy can rewrite.
Yeah, I'll make it.
I'm looking for input here.
Yeah,
You got us confused.
I'm okay with that, but I wanna know what the statute says. The statute says we have to have two, we gotta have two.
Right. Andy, that's our own rule.
Yeah. But there's no, I can double check, but I'm not aware of any statute that says you have to have
That's
a
fine.
You know, where we're at, Mr. Buckles,
egg extension.
Yeah, but
where it says composition.
Yeah.
Two are to be members of both committees.
Okay.
That's our own rule, not a state statute.
Is that a necessary thing? Is that, how does that improve the situation?
I think that was something Hal did back in the day. I'm trying to remember why, and I can't.
I think it was something that happened and kind of went overboard.
And it's like zoning, you can't have the representative from the city on zoning because there's no zoning in the city.
Is that state statute?
I believe that's your own rule.
A lot of people, a lot of residents have talked about that.
That's all
I believe that's your own rule.
Yep, and for the statute 92, it seems to be only the farm
Yeah.
representative, correct?
Yeah.
Not our-
So can you add that and show it to us?
Okay.
So then could we go back to the previous page 20, the same, similar situation in economic development? At least two members of the committee shall also be members of land, water, and forest.
Public safety, land, water, and forest. consists-
Well, I'm sorry, page 20.
Oh, you're on page
Yeah,
20?
page 20.
Oh, 17, okay. 20. Oh, yeah,
And that appears to be a statute, so we probably need to rectify.
Look here.
well, I think they're citing the same statute as, aren't they? 9206,
Yes.
same one.
Yeah, I'll do some more research on that.
Yeah,
Get the
Okay.
statute
Okay.
pulled up, see if that's statutory or not.
follow us, Mr. Buckles.
Hmm?
You follow that?
Yep.
But then there's other little things in here that maybe this group wants to reply back to on the comments. One of them is that the clerk will read back every motion. I don't
Well,
know,
usually the chair, I mean, the chair does.
but it says the clerk, so usually I've heard the chair do it, so maybe that should be revised.
Well, actually, by statutes of the Wisconsin Counties Association, that motion is to be read back.
Yeah.
By who?
Well,
That's what she's asking. I agree, Ron.
it should be by the county board chair, because that's how it's done
Or
in
the chair.
zoning. The zoning
committee
committee
chair.
chair reads back the motion of whatever permits are coming up. And then when that's all done and said, and then he reads it back again, that it was approved. So, yeah, I believe you have to read
So
that
there's
back.
an edit, change from clerk to chair.
So if there's any other comments you see, maybe get them to Andy and I.
Sure.
so we can present it in the copy.
Do we need court counsel to look at this again?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
That's what I think I put that in my comments is, he's already given us some of this based
Okay.
on the MOU he did for us originally.
Yeah.
But rather than spend money having him look through the whole thing, do the things that you'd like to do, 'cause
Yes.
these are your policies, and then we'll have.
I like this. I like this.
Yeah, because the motions are in the thing that they were at when they were at our county board meeting. That the motions should be read back by the county board chair or the chair of whatever the committee also, so.
It's also the training. too, that's what it says.
So-
But sometimes we have to rely on the clerk to get
Right.
it back out correctly.
Oh, I agree. I
Right,
call
and
her
vice
too, Ron.
versa, and vice versa.
Then
because it
maybe
happens
we can
so
repeat it
fast.
after you've stated what it is.
And I
So-
sometimes need clarification because I'm
Exactly.
So then the plan is that this committee will get with Andy and Madam Clerk about any edits we see else, okay?
Right.
Well, then we'll bring it back here before we run it to the full county board for approval.
Yes.
Sound like a plan?
Plan.
Okay, so I will recognize you now just real quickly, Linda, please.
With
You want to come up to the
regard-
mic though?
Yes, Linda Zilmer, 902 Holly Hill Lane, Edgewater, property owner. With regard to, I saw some of the comments made in this draft and, for instance, the Land, Water, Forestry Committee, and then I think the name got extended to include the other departments. One thing I bring it up regularly, is that there used to be an Agriculture and Extension Committee, and then it became Economic Development and Extension, and the county has totally lost agriculture. I think agriculture needs to be included, and whether it's with extension or an economic development.
Or land, water.
Yeah, but it has to be, going back to the statutory requirements, your Farm
Right.
Service Agency person is on the committee that had historically been ag and extension. And so agriculture should, I think, get recognized again as a priority entity, if you're going to be expanding the other names. And the other thing is, with regard to the public comment that has been printed on committee and county board agendas for forever, that some supervisors follow and some don't, especially at a committee level, the public may not know what is going to be discussed at the time of public comment at the beginning of a meeting. And so if you have somebody here, whether they're the motorized vehicle group or whatever, they get up and they get to have a say, and then no one can have public comment. So I would encourage you to consider leaving the public comment as it is, at least at a committee level, so that there can be full discussion on agenda items. And if you want to remove recognizing people during your county board, maybe that's an option, although I think especially like in the rezoning, where an affected person asked during public comment to be recognized during the rezone and then wasn't, it's a public, just like you have employee morale, there's public morale.
Thank you.
And for a little bit of extra time, it's worth it. Thank you.
Yep. All right, what else you have, Andy? Then we'll get a plan to bring these back to you.
Yeah, if you have any, like Lynn said, if you have any comments or read through it and have questions, let one of us know, or if you want other things updated, let us know.
Sure.
I think, Lynn, could you just send out to the full board maybe?
Sure.
Yeah, and have them be made aware of it.
Yeah, you bet. All right, anything else for Mr. Alvarado for this report? Yeah, you bet. Andy. Okay, number 13, future agenda items for administration committee.
Chair,
Yes, sir.
I'd
Mr.
like to
Buckles.
make a suggestion.
Yes,
I would like, I don't know if there's a committee that has to do it or what, but I would like to see Sawyer County's court counsel looked at to be somebody local, instead of miles away, and all they can do is go on virtual. They don't even attend the meetings.
Okay.
That's just my opinion, but I think that's what we should look into, possibly cheaper too.
is that something, Andy, you could bring to us and
Mhm.
more information on? Great. Be glad to do that, Mr. Buckles.
Okay, thank you.
And of course, Lynn, you're gonna bring back the edits to the board policies. Anything else, Mr. Schluter? You'd like to see on this agenda?
Good luck finding somebody qualified to take care of all of those.
Well, there's gotta be somebody, there's oodles of them around here. Well, it's not just me, good luck. I mean, it's the whole board I'm trying to say, but why we pay somebody big boot money just to do virtual. They don't come in and attend any of the meetings, you know. Zoning, he does not attend any zoning meetings on virtual. They need to be sitting in on the committee on zoning. That there's priority, because you can't that we don't want the county to go backwards again on the zoning. Everybody got this all straightened out. Let's keep it that way. But, you know, that's just my thought, Dale. I guess, whatever, you know, you can't tell me that there's not somebody around here
So
that
we'll,
can do
we'll
that.
put it on the agenda, guys. Mr. Duffy, anything, you good? All right. Any other matters for discussion on it? If not, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.